there's been a shift in the shift, if I may put it this way. We started focusing really on 15. Those who litigate and those who do research and those who do political work with civil society, all was about 15. It was all about equality. It was all about how the law should be read in and be more inclusive. And this was the basic argument. We would tell the courts, read the law differently because the way it's either written or interpreted, it's producing too much exclusion, and should be promoting inclusion or access to instead of excluding. So it was much more sophisticated than that. We could go and present the test of equality by quoting the main decisions, but the basic point was really that. And it worked for certain groups in certain contexts. It certainly worked for women, as long as and that's my personal analysis, as long as the output of those decisions got to be, according to political power, too expensive. Because if you want to be more inclusive, you talk about public policy, spending money differently, doing impact analysis of whatever public policy is being debated. So it worked better for a certain time for certain groups, and I think women did benefit from 15. And then the notion of vulnerability and the open textured writing of 15, of course, made it more accessible to other, let's call them, vulnerable groups. And the political and economic environment shifted, and I think courts started to believe that after all, in a complex situation where you have to make choices, the political wisdom shouldn't be interfered with. And they got to be much more careful about the kind of remedial decision they'd be tempted to grant to vulnerable groups. And the shift happened probably in the 90s, where 7 of the charter was discovered. So to open a parenthesis here, the way the charter is organized, so you have section 15, which is so fundamental, it's almost a standalone in the charter, and then you have article 7 of the charter, which is superseding the classical judicial guarantees provided for by constitution or charter. But 7 really is a 2-pronged guarantee that says you have a right to life, security, according to principles of fundamental justice. So it's a different burden of proof. But really, if you think of homelessness people and you live on the street and you need your dose of whatever drug, and you say, if I can't access a safe injection site, I'm going to die. Everybody who is a victim of discrimination is not about to die. The urgency of my homelessness example, or the urgency of I need a specific medical treatment or procedure, or I need, I'm in prison, and if I don't get my HIV medication, I'm going to die in the coming months, or put myself at serious risk. So 7 is and it was acknowledged to a certain extent that in certain cases, the state has to provide answers to those who are in serious risk. So the initial understanding of what is vulnerability, which was wide, broad, open textured, and basically welcoming all those groups who could pretend that they were deprived of the equal benefit of the law, turned to be a case of urgency or emergency. And it fits with the economic shift as well. Those are the 90s, austerity, state spending less, or depending on where you stand, being less capable of spending. And the judicial system being more careful or acknowledging the austerity environment. and willing to provide answers for terrible situation, urgent situation, unacceptable situation, but nevertheless based on a different onus of proof, which is, I'm terribly at risk. I'm not just excluded. I'm physically, psychologically, in a terrible position. So do something. And 7 is now, the shift is that the understanding we had about the spectrum of what social justice could mean in a rich society moved from including everybody under 15 to taking care of the more vulnerable, or the extremely at risk under 7. And now if you survey the case law, it's success, should I use this word, is much more under 7 than 15. What I'm saying is it's the shift that really concerns me and interests me, because it's less about equality and more about human security, which totally corresponds with a global agenda.